Welcome to a very special show called Take It Easy with Health Insurance, presented by HDFC ERGO, where we're going to be speaking to a panel of experts and we'll be talking about the importance of health insurance and even busting some myths about that. So first up, let me introduce my panel to you. We have Mr. Anurag Rastogi. He is the Chief Actuary and Chief Underwriting Officer at HDFC ERGO. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
We have Mr. Biplav Banerjee. He's the Chief People Officer at Allied Blenders and Distillers. And finally, Dr. Raman Deshpande. He's the Director at the Asian Cancer Institute. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Deshpande, first question to you. Why is health insurance important? Cost versus benefit? Because I've spoken to some people and they say, do I need to pay this yearly amount? I haven't fallen sick. What's the use of it? What's your take on that?
You know, health insurance is something which takes care of you when you're actually sick. It meets with your hospital expenditure, all incidental expenditure, sometimes even the cost of rehabilitation, loss of your working hours, so on and so forth. Now, almost everything which I'm talking about is unplanned. This is not something which actually fits into your yearly budget. So, ultimately, if you don't have an insurance, where does this money come from? It has to come from your savings. And today, something like, say, a joint replacement or a treatment of a fracture, accidental fracture, can take away a few lakhs out of the kitty of a middle class family, which is like a couple of years saving. So this is going to be a very, very big impact on the person's finances. In fact, it is assumed that, from the data what we can see, the single largest cause for personal bankruptcy in the United States is medical related expenditure. So you have to have insurance under any circumstances, particularly for the whole family, and more so if you have elderly people in the family.
Okay, very important point made there. Mr. Rastogi, I'll come to you. What in your experience dealing with people, what are some things that you hear? Because I very often hear people saying that health insurance is too complicated. Yaar, kyun karna hai? Chodo, abhi, I'll think about it some other day, and then that other day doesn't happen. What's your experience on this?
So, before I come to your answer, I'll just want to supplement what Dr. Deshpande said about, he talked about the bankruptcy that it causes in the United States of America. Just come back to India. India, I was reading that about 60 million people, about 5 to 6 crore people who have barely scraped to come above the poverty line, they fall back below the poverty line because of the indebtedness that it caused by the all of a sudden this uncertain illnesses that are caused and the expenses that they have to incur. So health insurance, the importance of health insurance is very, very high today, particularly that the way the lifestyles are changing, the way the disease burden is increasing on people, health insurance becomes very, very necessary. Now, as far as I think one has to be aware as to what he is buying. So health insurance, it's a contract, but it's a very, very simple contract, and the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India has made sure that all these contracts are drafted as simply and as layman terms as possible. So I think people just need to come into the health insurance fold once, and then they'll realize that it's not complicated.
Mr. Banerjee, getting you in on this, when people join the workforce, there is companies provide them different perks, different compensation. Very often, a lot of companies provide a group mediclaim. In your experience working in different companies also, what's the importance of this group mediclaim cover to an employee? What's the response you get from employees on this point?
Yeah. So I think over a period of time, organizations, corporate India has evolved a lot in terms of providing insurance to the employees. I guess, earlier it started with only one group mediclaim, which will just take care of your, hospitalization. And progressive large organizations started differentiating themselves, and they have started further elements of insurance. So there is something called group personal accident insurance. Many times everybody is commuting. So if somebody gets, some kind of an injury, it can be partial or full, disability. So that insurance takes care of, and there is a significant amount of money which could be, 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times your cost to company group personal accident. So I think, as I see the young generation when they enter the organization, their awareness in today's world is quite high, and they actually ask a lot of questions compared to maybe 10 years back. I guess, some statistics I have seen that, almost 80% of the organizations, employers provide insurance of some kind or the other. But there are still, who believe that no, health is, your issue, and, you have to manage it well. I think the movement is going from, providing this kind of support to a little more proactive, which is, wellness. So many organizations today are trying a wellness strategy, that how proactively, will push employees to be hale hearty, and not only them but also their families.
Interesting. Dr. Deshpande, I'll take off from this the important point that he spoke about the wellness bit. Now, unfortunately, lifestyle diseases are increasing,
yes,
but on the other end, we are living longer. So, your experience in this, dealing with patients that come in, and how health insurance can benefit this in this scenario?
Yeah. See, when we got our independence, the average lifespan used to be in the mid-30s. So, which means that if you really live up to 40, you are a lucky man. Today, on an average, lifespan is about 71 and for women, and about 69, and it's increasing very fast. Probably in another 10-15 years, we're going to see people routinely living till 80 years of age. And naturally, when you live that long, something is likely to be likely to go wrong. So, diseases of heart, cancer, and so on and so forth are going to be routine.
Yes.
I mean, it would be unusual not to have that. Apart from that, the metabolic diseases like diabetes, hypertension are fairly common, and these also cause further illnesses. So, wellness is something which is very important. When it comes to our own health, which is the most expensive equipment that the God has ever given to us, surprisingly enough, even the most hardcore professionals don't look into this.
It's just becoming easier now, in fact. And Mr. Rastogi, coming to you on this point, because there have been a lot of innovations that have happened in the industry, and your company has also done. So tell me a little bit about these, how technology is making it easier for the consumer to get their hands on insurance, and some of the innovations in the products, because like the other panelists were also saying, things the Indian consumer has evolved over the years. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, of course. So technology is really transforming the whole health care sector as well as health insurance sector. So today it is possible for you to be sitting here and buy a health insurance plan within 2 minutes, to be educated about a health insurance plan, to buy a health insurance plan, and also if God forbid something happens, technology and the modern processes have enabled our company to approve a claim within 30 minutes. So you lodge a claim, and within 30 minutes, somebody from your family is in the hospital undergoing treatment, and the hospital applies to the insurance company, and within 30 minutes we approve. And this has happened because of the technology, because of the modern processes, and because of our belief that we need to provide the right kind of service to our customers and to the people in general. And in terms of the product innovation, there are a lot of products. You have, the vanilla health insurance cover, which pays you for the treatment costs in case something happens. Then you have the hospital cash covers, whereby you don't have to submit bills about the treatment. The fact that somebody is admitted in the hospital for 5 days, the insurance companies pays a fixed amount per day. It may be 5,000 rupees per day, it may be 10,000 rupees, depending on what you choose.
Right.
And then you have a most critical cover called critical illness cover, which is becoming very important. This is a cover which deals in the major illnesses. So cancer, cardiac arrest, it can be the multiple sclerosis. So a lot of diseases are covered there. And the difference between a vanilla health insurance cover and critical illness cover is that the vanilla health insurance cover pays you for treatment costs. This cover pays you a fixed amount the moment somebody is diagnosed, that if somebody is suffering from cancer. The moment diagnosis is complete, the insurance company pays this whole sum insured. It may be 20 lakh, it may be 30 lakh, it may be 50 lakh.
Dr. Deshpande, taking off from what Mr. Rastogi was saying, the idea of cashless versus reimbursement, that's the one thing that people always hear, cashless, and it's always a bit confusing. What's your thoughts on this?
See, basically insurance which covers the hospital expenditure or sickness related expenditure, in other words, can come in two forms. One is cashless, which means that there is hardly any money which an individual who falls sick or his family have to really pay out. For that, there is a process of accreditation. You have a policy. The policy which has been insured by the organization. For example, if HDFC has given you an insurance, it will have recognized so many thousands of hospitals. So you can get admitted into that hospital. The company will have given you a card of that card needs to be produced, which is normally Xeroxed by the company immediately, and then they correspond with a organization, as exactly like what Honorable mentioned, and approvals come in quite in couple of hours or maybe a few minutes, and which means that what they do is actually, is your treatment approved for that particular disease, how many days, what is the expenditure. So that much of expenditure is totally covered, and the person doesn't really have to pay at all. So you are not under any pressure. See, when you are sick, as such, the most powerful of the human beings actually are down by 50%.
Yeah,
so
of course.
over and above that, you don't want to be troubled for monetary considerations. So today, many of these are cashless. I would say that amongst insured people, I would say about 80 to 90% of the people today are cashless, and they are very, very happy about it.
Definitely. So that's something that they should keep in
So
mind.
you must ensure, while taking a policy, you must always ensure that as far as possible a cashless facility is available.
I would just like to supplement with a small thought. Cashless is not an option. I say cashless is a right of the policyholder. He must ensure that he gets a cashless facility from an insurance company. And this must be one of the considerations when he's choosing the insurance company, to see how many cashless hospitals has the hospital tied up. So unless a situation arises whereby one has to rush to a nearby hospital which is not part of the network, he doesn't have the time to find out the network hospital and go to that hospital. Otherwise, cashless is his right under a health insurance policy, and he must exercise that right.
That's a very important point to note. Mr. Banerjee, sorry.
Just to add to that, while talking about cashless, that's one thing which all employees, look forward to. And while selecting insurance partner, the another critical element which plays a very, important role is the TPA, the third party administrator, and we are all reached a stage where employees are looking for experiences in an organization, and how this experience is delivered is by the TPA, and therefore we also take extra measure to find out which TPA actually takes care of the right behavior, because when an employee or family member falls sick, the entire family and the mindset of that employee is disturbed. So experiencing outside office, admission, release, billing, everything, that's a very critical part.
On that note, it's time for a very short break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Take It Easy with Health Insurance, presented by HDFC ERGO. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching a special show called Take It Easy with Health Insurance, presented by HDFC ERGO, and I'm in conversation with a panel of experts who are shedding some light on the importance of health insurance and also busting some myths. When a person falls ill, or when somebody in the family falls ill, productivity suffers. And that is also, I mean, let's be honest, as a company, as a corporation, I want productivity to be optimum. So it is in the interest to help the employees there. Any trends that you're seeing over the years in this space about this insurance, about the claims, about employees coming to the company and claiming?
Largest chunk of claims come for the maternity. That's number one. I think after that, earlier it used to be normal cough and cold and some kind of normal diseases, but of late, as both doctor and everybody said, these newer diseases, cancer, liver, kidney, these are all the things which are coming a lot more compared to others, and insurance premium also goes up, that whole no claim ratio, and if in a particular year you are getting these kind of claims for your parents, primarily this happens for parents, in-laws, elderly people, and therefore the ratio goes up significantly. So therefore companies adopt few other top-up scheme, whether your total sum assured is over, there are some provisions that you pay an extra amount to the insurance agency, and they give a little extra cover to that to take care of that one. So some companies even adopt that to take care of the employee experiences and satisfaction to gain that productivity.
Okay. Mr. Rastogi, your thoughts on this? This top-up part, I just wanted you to shed more light on that.
So yeah, that's very important, because see, what happens is that while the employers want to take the best care of their employees, there are always monetary considerations as to how much money, how much premium the organization wants to pay, and so the organization buys insurance for a particular amount. And I have seen that most organizations buy health insurance cover for anywhere between 2 lakh to 3 lakh or 5 lakh cover.
Right.
Now, there are situations when the expenditure of the employee can be significantly more than that. Now, and as Biplab was talking about, there are corporate buffers that he was talking about. So there are corporate buffers which are built in these group policies which can take care of such an eventuality. But there are situations with these corporate buffers also, they finish. They're not left for utilization. Also, when somebody is buying a group cover, see, group cover is valid only for a year till the time the employee is working in an organization. Today, the kind of trend that you see, people retire early, People move to different organizations. Also, the kind of cover that is bought by the organizations, because of the claim ratios that Biplab was talking about, there could be limitations in the cover. This is what the insurance will pay, this is what the insurance will not pay. So I would say that it is advisable for each individual to have his own personal insurance,
I was going to come
which
to you on that.
tops up
Right.
on the group cover that he has bought, which becomes a bottoms-up cover the moment he retires, or the moment he resigns and wants to do something on his own. So it's important to have your cover, because buying a cover after 40, 45 years of age becomes increasingly difficult. I'm not saying it's not available. It's available, but it becomes increasingly difficult. The person has to undergo medical examination. After the examination, if there's something already subsisting in the body, the insurance company may not give the cover, or the premium may be prohibitive. So it's always advisable to buy it as early as possible, regardless of whether you have a group cover or you don't have a group cover.
Dr. Deshpande, just your thoughts on some of the trends that you're seeing as a doctor on the health insurance part. Are we seeing, and I'm coming to you from a larger perspective, so not just at the institute that you are. The government has also recently launched a scheme, but what are some overall trends that you're seeing in the country which could develop on the way ahead, which we should be aware of?
See, I have been in the line of providing healthcare from the early 80s. And earlier there was no insurance at all. Everybody had to pay on their own, or the organizations used to pay directly. From 1986, the national companies started coming, so they used to get treated, get all the vouchers, receipts, everything, and then they used to claim. From 2000 onwards, the private companies came, and today I would say that almost about between 20 and 30% people come with a private insurance. Maybe another 10-15% come with the organizational kind of a support. So about 50% still pay their own money for their own health care. That needs to actually get reduced to practically negligible. 80% of our population, if you really see out of the 130 crores that we are, is still not covered for any insurance as such. And the Prime Minister's scheme will actually help a lot of those people.
Just want to add that, trends, it's not a trend, but a consistent follow-up and questions and queries which come from employees is on the exclusion part of all insurance. That many things are not included, and maybe something are not included in the first year, then some are included in the second year, some critical diseases are included in the third year. So with evolving society, with millennia coming, the questions, and they are questioning everything. So one of the questions, why is it like this and why it can't be like this? Those are the things which I think for the future we need to look into and make the policies in such a manner that it takes care of all kinds of needs and just not adhering to the age-old rules and norms.
Right. So, Mr. Rastogi, what are some do's and don'ts that people should do before they take a policy, and then after the policy when they take a claim? So, what are the right steps that a consumer must take?
I will come to that, and I'll link it to the question that you asked of Deshpande in terms of the trends. One of the trends that I see today is happening is that people till a couple of years ago were happy with a 2 lakh, 3 lakh cover. Since the Ayushman Bharat has come up, I see inquiries have increased, because in Ayushman Bharat, if you look at it, and which Dr. Raman Deshpande also brought in, that the cost that the government is paying to these hospitals is very small. In spite of that, the government is talking about a 5 lakh cover to the underprivileged sections of society, whereas middle class and upper middle class people were buying a cover of 2 lakh, 3 lakh or 5 lakh rupees. So today I see that inquiries have increased. People want to buy a cover of 20 lakh, people want to buy a cover of 30, 40, 50 lakh, and people want to buy a cover of 1 crore and 2 crore and 3 crores. Second trend that I see is happening is that till now the insurance premiums were dependent only on the age of the person, the place where you come from, because in Mumbai the treatments are very expensive.
Yes.
In some smaller area the treatments are cheaper, so the insurance premium could be cheaper. So age, the location and the sum insured were the only. Now people say that I maintain a very good lifestyle, all my health parameters are very healthy, why should I not pay a lower premium than somebody whose health parameters are not so good? And so today you have customized health insurance plans, whereby on the base on the strength of the technologies, the wearables, the premiums can be customized to every person's health and the kind of lifestyle that you maintain. Now in terms of what one should look for when somebody is buying, the most important part is how much of health insurance I should buy. People living in larger towns like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Kolkata, 5 lakh rupees is hardly anything. Anything less than a 10 lakh cover is not really desirable. People living in smaller towns also should buy at least a 5 lakh cover. So that is number one thing. Number two thing, the most important is that we discussed, is will I get a cashless settlement? And does this company have a large network of hospitals with whom they have tied up for giving cashless treatment to me? Because that is the most critical part, as highlighted by Dr. Deshpande also. When I'm getting treated, I don't want to get into the hassles of, whether I have money to pay or not. And number three thing, how many claims does the company reject? So what is the ratio by which they reject the claim? If a company is rejecting too many claims, stay away. So I would say three most important things that one must pay. And the earlier one can buy insurance, the better.
So we're just about starting to wind up the panel. I'll come to you, Dr. Deshpande. Your last thoughts on this. What are your closing comments on this?
Health insurance is the other part of living healthy. Yes, you do live healthy, have good habits, do your exercises, maintain your weight, don't get into bad habits, everything. On the other side, ensure that you have a health insurance. I think that just goes without any saying. And while doing this, whatever Anurag said about taking precautions, choosing the right policy, right quantum, and covering everybody around you is very, very important.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Mr. Banerjee.
I think it has three parts. Health insurance is perhaps the most important part, which companies or individual take responsibility of. The other part is health checkup, which many companies provide annually, but very few actually end up doing it for them or for the families. And the third part is obviously the healthy living, where this whole wellness strategy and tremendous awareness is there. So if all three can be combined, I think we will have a very healthy India.
Fine. Fantastic. Mr. Rastogi, your closing comments, and I also would like you to touch upon maybe one or two myths that you come across about health insurance.
A lot of people believe that if I become old, health insurance is not available to me. Now let me say that if you bought insurance while you were young, you are covered for the whole of your life. Insurance company has no right not to renew a policy at any age. It's effectively a lifelong contract. What is most important is that one must not forget to renew the policy in time. Even a single day lapse can be very, very seriously dangerous for your health insurance, because the insurance company might want you to undergo a medical examination again, and all the diseases that one was suffering from might be excluded from the cover.
Okay.
So that's the most important thing. The second myth is getting a claim is very difficult. Unfortunately, it's not. And I said it's on record. When the hospital sends the bills to us, we pay claims. So couple of years back it used to be hours, and then before that it used to be days also, but today it has crunched down with the help of technology and process improvement. It has crunched to less than 30 minutes.
Wow.
So when I'm talking about less than 30, I'm talking about averages. That means there are some people for whom claims are approved in just 10 minutes also.
Right.
So these are some of the myths. In terms of the closing comments, I'll say stay healthy, stay happy, and stay insured.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Rastogi. Thank you, Mr. Banerjee, and thank you, Dr. Deshpande. Thank you so much for watching our show, and I hope we've been able to shed some more light and clear some of your doubts about health insurance. Thank you once again for watching.